Yeah, that wasn't as cool as I thought it would be. Hello everybody, welcome back to the second video in the What I Would Have Done Differently in IB series. As you can read by the title below, today's topic is going to be about procrastination. And I'm going to be discussing two very important reasons why I personally procrastinated and why you might be procrastinating right now in IB as well. So, if you're on this video, I can only assume that you are one of the three types of people. One, you're an IB student. That's palpable. I actually think you should probably be an IB student if you're watching this video, considering it's got the IB and procrastination title in it. Not a lot of people would search for that. Two, you're an IB student and you're procrastinating, which is fair, you know, we all procrastinate in IB. Three, you're finding solutions to your procrastination problem, but in the process of finding solutions to your procrastination problem, you've reached this video in which is going to be 5 minutes long, 5 minutes of which you could have used to study or do your coursework, and now you've ended up in an ironic situation where you're actually procrastinating, although your intentions were not to procrastinate at the very beginning. So, you, my friend, are in a very ironic situation, but have no fear, I'm here to discuss two main reasons why you can try to stop procrastinating today, or at least work towards a point where you're procrastinating less and less over time. So, the first main cause that I think, and I definitely experienced when I was in IB, that led me to procrastinate was a consistent fear of failure. What do I mean by consistent fear of failure? Well, I would get home from school, open up ManageBack, and check out all the deadlines I would have in the next coming weeks, and I would see so many of them that I would just sit back and think to myself, wow, that's a lot of work I have to do, and I have zero energy to be able to put so much effort into all that different work and try to achieve the highest standard possible. And in doing so, I started mentally freaking out because I'm like, okay, I really want to get the best grade I can, but there's so much work, I have very little confidence in my ability to do so. So, in thinking about the negative consequences of getting a low grade, I actually could not even start the process of working, which is ironic because to get a good grade, you have to start working and then you have to stop thinking about the grade because that will inhibit you from doing the good job that you might be capable of doing. And in my case, what happened was I would try to start working and then stop and then procrastinate because I just didn't want to deal with the fact that the work I was doing was potentially very subpar and very low grade worthy. So I essentially put off all that work, and then when my stress levels got too high and I checked the clock and saw it was 2 a.m., I start rushing around and trying to get as much work as I could possibly do in the shortest amount of time possible, which led to me obviously working later into the night and then going to bed late and then going to school tired, etc, etc, etc. If you didn't watch my IB video about sleep and stress, go watch those two videos because they really do have links with the procrastination video that I'm going to be talking about today. So that's the first reason, a fear of failure. It's kind of foolish, at least in retrospect, for me to think about because essentially what I was doing was fearing about the work that I hadn't even done. I was fearing the end result despite not doing any of the work just yet. It's really important to remember that you are more than capable of what you think you can do. The work you are doing, whatever grade you're getting, you might be getting a level 5 or a level 4 currently, but that doesn't mean you can't get to a level 6 or a 7 if you work hard enough. Don't put yourself down just because of one bad test or a couple of bad, first drafts for your internal assessments. The whole point is to improve as time goes on. That's what drafts are for, that's what quizzes are for before the final exams, obviously. And yeah, it might be demotivating to get low grades, but if you're consistently putting yourself down and fearing that failure in future, you're going to inhibit yourself from doing or at least reaching the potential grade you can by doing an excellent amount of work. So that's the first part. That's the first reason. Fear of failure. It was something I experienced on a consistent basis, and you might be experiencing it too. Second reason, and you should definitely go back to my other videos where I talk about sleep more, is fatigue. Now, I really didn't do a good job with my sleep. You can go back to my other sleep video and check out a daily, or at least a day in the life of what it was like for me, a former IB student, with my sleep schedule. But fatigue was, at least in hindsight for me, definitely one of the key reasons why I was consistently procrastinating and getting into this very, very bad habit of not doing the work and then going to bed late. So I would come home sleep deprived. I'm kind of continuing off of a story I talked about in my last video. I come home completely sleep deprived, take a short nap, which would leave me very groggy afterwards. I'm not really a nap person, but when I'm completely deprived of my sleep and I need it, I will have to take a nap. I have no choice. And then eventually I would wake up for dinner, obviously. I'd finish dinner, and then I'd sit down and try to work. So I might sit down at 7 p.m. after my shower, feeling like I should at least try to start working, and then not work until like 10 or 11 p.m. Now by that time, I was still exhausted, but because it was a mix of fear of failure and stress that I was experiencing, I would try to work. And obviously, when you start working at 11 p.m. or 12 at night, you're not going to do the best work you can, and you're not going to have a lot of energy to do it. So you might work for an hour or 2 hours and then just completely give up. And that was my case. I was constantly tired. So 2 a.m., go to bed, wake up at 6:30 to go to school. That's not a lot of sleep, and then the cycle would just repeat. So the fact that my brain was constantly exhausted from not having enough sleep didn't really help my case when it came to procrastinating and getting enough workout. I'd come home tired and I wouldn't be mentally prepared to work. Now, on the flip side, if you actually slept and gave yourself time to recover, I have no doubt that you will find yourself having more energy to motivate and push yourself to work and to really stop putting all that work aside to work on later because you feel the failure. At university so far, I have been getting a lot more sleep, and I found myself really being able to push and do the work that I need to do, not because I have to do it. Obviously, in university, it's a very different experience to IB, but the fact that I have a lot of more mental energy to get this work sorted out and do it and execute it well means that I have a lower fear of failure, I don't procrastinate as much, and I can just generally be more carefree. Because if you're going through IB right now and you're constantly stressed and you're constantly worried about your grades and you're constantly fearing failure, then you definitely need to change something up. And if you're not sleeping enough, that is one of the things that you should probably start with, because that is at the core of where your energy to study and motivate yourself to learn in the classroom is going to come from. So those are the two main reasons that I've talked about today. There are multiple other reasons that you might procrastinate. It might be personal issues, you might be going through some depression, or you might have anxiety or a mental illness that you're having to take medication for. Whatever the case may be, those two reasons aren't the main reasons for procrastinating. They're just the ones that I felt and I experienced when I was in IB. So I hope you found this video useful. I hope that it's been educational in the sense that you will go away and hopefully not click off to another YouTube video and start procrastinating. I know IB students very well. That is likely what you're going to do if you're watching this video, so don't do it. I would encourage you to do something productive with your time, especially considering it's March and your May exams are coming up if you're in the Northern Hemisphere. So, I'm Reese from StudyNova.com. I hope you found this video very enjoyable and at least productive in the sense that you learned something, and I'll see you in the next one.